It's funny how BuzzFeed is probably one of the only news agencies right out there or within the mainstream media that is actually covering North Korea somewhat accurately. Like, there was that whole Winter Olympics thing the other day with Mike Pence and the sister of Kim Jong Un. And apparently, she gave him like a side eye at one point, kind of like, looking at him. And the media picked up on this and were like, oh, she's amazing. She's giving Pence the stink eye. She's giving him some shade. She's an awesome woman. What a badass and shit. But in all reality, she is a horrible fucking person who is at the head of a regime that literally has gulags, puts people in prison for saying anything negative about the country, a country that doesn't allow people to have the internet, that has executed thousands of people in the public. They do this on a regular basis. People are leaving because they're starving. They're on average 3 to 4 or inches shorter than South Koreans, and they're normalizing this woman. They're making, oh, she's not that bad, this and that. But what's funny to me is the only article that was giving it straight was BuzzFeed. And they're showing, how the rest of the media, the CNN, etc., are, you know, praising this girl essentially. And they're like, hey, no, nobody should support this woman. She is, they brought up all these different points as to why she's a horrible person, right? So it's just funny that BuzzFeed actually gave some like decent reporting, and I've noticed that from them. Like, at least the reporting side, they do have some decent reporters, and they have exposed some things that the mainstream media is not willing to expose. So they are leftist, and I do disagree with a lot of their opinions and a lot of what they do, but at least it seems to me that they are trying to at least uh, cannibalize off of the other media that is there. And this is probably what is going to continue to happen in the future. They're going to continue cannibalizing off of each other. When one of them steps on a line, you're going to see a bunch of the other ones come in and point it out and say, like, these guys are fucking retards. Come to us instead if you want good reporting. And compared to CNN, Washington Post, and a lot of these other people, BuzzFeed is probably more reliable in some circumstances, right? Like, they have both released false information, but so is a lot of other sources on the right wing as well. InfoWars releases tons of false information. So it's good to read all different media, all of their sources, because there is some truth in all of it. But it is good to see at least some outlets within the media that are, not completely retarded. Like, they can at least see that, North Korea is not a good person, or not a good country. But I think that the CNN and these outlets, they know that too. But this is all just against Trump. Anybody who says anything negative against him, they're going to hold up. Like, look at what they're doing with like Bush. Like, Bush, they're like, this guy is like a god to CNN now, to all of these people, just because he's coming out and saying negative things about Trump. Whereas a few years ago, he was the Antichrist. He was the one who created all the problems that Obama had to, take care of, and all this shit. He was all this shit. But now, because he's coming out against Trump, then all your ills are forgotten. And it's the same with a lot of these Republicans like Mitt Romney, John McCain. They just come out anti-Trump, and then all your past ills will be forgotten. But just don't step out of line and say something they don't like, because then right away they're going to excommunicate you again. And that's the thing with leftists. It's like, yeah, come on in, but don't say anything we disagree with, because if you do, we're gonna rage you out, right? Like, I just finished reading an article from Politico, and they gave Hillary Clinton just a moderate criticism about her candidacy and stuff, but during the whole article, they're like, oh, but she's right and she's awesome, and they were speaking fairly uh, highly of her, but you could tell the headline was kind of like, Hillary needs to kind of go away. It wasn't exactly that, but it was on along that same line, and it just completely enraged the left. Like, because Politico, the majority of those people reading that are leftists. So I see the comment section on Twitter. It's like 1,500 replies, like 30 retweets, and like 400 likes. So whenever you see those numbers, you know right away that the article or the headline has triggered people, and you're just going through with all these leftists are like, fuck you, Politico, you're just a Russian hack, you're a Russian spy, you're this, you're that. And they've the left has created like this problem within their own base. Like, the people are so fucking partisan. If you say anything negative about Hillary, like, hey, maybe she could have ran more in these states, and maybe she could have she shouldn't have avoided holding rallies and some of these flyover states. No, no, no. Trump is a Russian collusion. She won the popular vote. She won this. She's the actual president. She's this. They lose their fucking minds. But like I said, I'm glad that BuzzFeed is there's at least some left-wing news agencies that are diverting from the common opinion or the common narrative that they're trying to push on people, because it's like, it just enrages me with the whole North Korea thing. It's like they were all like, yeah, they're bad, but as soon as Trump is against them, oh no, they're not that bad. They're actually pretty good, and their people aren't that bad off, and they're just trying to live in a country, and mean old Trump is trying to stop them from living in a peaceful place. It's like, no. They've been threatening to nuke America for a long time. They've been shooting rockets into Japan, into other countries that they shouldn't be doing. So they've already like Japan essentially is justified in going in and like invading North Korea, essentially, and they can enlist the help of Americans. And South Korea essentially has that same right, because they have like a bunch of weapons on their DMZ, saying they're gonna blow them up if anything starts. Like, they have legitimacy to go in there to begin with. And I even see some people, all right, I had some comment the other day, and they're like, oh, North Korea, it's actually not that bad, and this. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, man? It's like, people, they want to move to like authoritarianism because they think it's like more sustainable, and maybe in some sense it is, but your life quality is going to be a lot more diminished, and rather live in a country that occasionally has a collapse or something, but my quality of life is much higher. I'm not a slave to people. So fuck North Korea. I don't know what the right move is. Hopefully what Trump is doing right now is good. He's putting the pressure on them, the sanctions on them, and that is having an effect. Like, this is another thing people are kind of ignoring. It's like, when was the last time that a president like that, and when have South Korea and North Korea been talking like this? When has this ever happened? Like, people are not giving Trump credit for where it's due, and they're saying, like, his rhetoric on Twitter, it's like, oh, it's gonna start a conflict, it's like, no, this is, he's playing politics with Kim, on Twitter, and this is the back and forth. Like, he can't cuck to him like Obama did to a lot of other people, because, like, you can say what you want about Trump, but people do fear him. If anything, the media is helping Trump in his foreign policy to some extent by creating the image that he is, off the rails, that he could just press that button anytime he wants, because now the other countries that are dealing with him, like North Korea, are a little bit more afraid, are a little bit more like, okay, maybe he will fucking bomb us, so maybe we should play ball, right? Because I don't think Trump will nuke them, and I don't think he wants to. You can't really rule out that possibility because North Korea, you know, who knows what they're going to do. I don't think the leadership is necessarily crazy like Islamists, essentially. Like they don't want to suffer annihilation, but it's hard to tell what they are going to do. But I think what Trump is doing right now is providing results, and people, they don't want to look at these results. They're just gonna like, oh no, it was gonna happen like this anyways, and this was already gonna happen. And same with the economy. They're like, oh no, this was on the track of happening. Trump didn't do anything. Nothing he did actually had an impact. And if it ever does get resolved, they're gonna be like, oh well, Obama, it's because Obama's policies they set in place in the past has nothing to do with Trump. They were eventually going to be peaceful anyways. And like the fucking hill bots are going to eat it up and believe it. They're going to be like, oh yeah, that's true. That's what the media tells me. So that's must be what the case is. But like once again, I'll go back to like the BuzzFeed thing. Like I'm glad that they are at least reporting accurately on this, and the left is getting some truth within their news. Because fuck, if they were all just peddling the same thing, then that would be so much fucking worse. And this makes me more willing to take what BuzzFeed has seriously, and it makes me think that they are more honest at the very least, and maybe they're just cannibalizing the other news agencies, right? But that's good too, because then at least they're going to provide, because of the competition. See, competition is always good. Because of that competition, even if they want to support some of the same narrative, because they're losing out on so much money, they're almost going to be forced to report on things more accurately, because then they'll get more viewers. Because once people are lied to and they really internalize, like, hey, this fucking media company has lied to me like 3-4 times, something I really believed, they will go to somebody else that doesn't lie to them. And at first they're going to go to somebody that is also leftist, but a little bit less so. And then eventually, if those people break their trust, they'll go a little bit more to the right. And they'll eventually move. This is how a lot of people change. It's little by little. I didn't become more on the right just overnight, right? I was more on the left when I was younger, and slowly, over time, you expose yourself to different people, different opinions, and you slowly, over time, become less extreme on one position or the other, or whatever. You slowly become less of a leftist the more you expose yourself, because people will not just change like, here's all the facts, here's that. People are stubborn. They're going to deny these facts, but maybe over time they will come around to some of them, and once they agree with some of them, then they're more likely to agree with other things in the future. But that's all I pretty much had to say. If you like my content, subscribe and have a good day. And sorry for the rambling again. I know I kind of went off a little bit. Take it easy.